Hi, I'm Sean Pettis, and this is Cinema Psychobabble, where an independent filmmaker does his best to psychoanalyze and break down specific films. Today I'm going to focus on assigning meaning to color in film. This is my second video on Nicolas Winding Refn's film, Bronson. Now I can't really meet my objective without having spoilers ahead, so please do yourself a favor and watch the film first. Okay. The color used in Bronson is striking, in a neon light disco sort of way that fits in nicely with Refn's usual electropop style. If you're planning on watching the film again, or for the very first time, please pay close attention to red and blue. In order for me to prove my point, let's imagine that it was the director's intention the entire time for red to symbolize passion, violence, energy, and primarily Bronson's ambition to be someone of importance. The first shots depict Bronson's initial confinement as taking place in a deep red realm, as he's describing prison as being a place he loves.
Prison was, honestly, brilliant! I liked it personally. Oh, fuck that. I loved it!
When Bronson sets out to make a name for himself, he brings a red suitcase, then he boards a red train, which takes him to the Red Room. For the first time in years, Bronson's filled with the potential of a free man, and his ambitions are great. Now you may think I'm stretching here, but in the Red Room, Bronson is the only one who isn't given a red drink. When Bronson eats part of the kebab, notice how he leaves the red cherry behind? If the color red represents Bronson's desires and ambitions, this scene foreshadows his failure to obtain them. Consistent with this theory, Bronson becomes infatuated with the woman first introduced in the red dress. Bronson stares at the same girl when she paints her nails red. She offers to paint his nails red, and he refuses angrily. This perhaps reminds him of having his nails painted when he was dressed as a clown in his imagination, when he felt like a laughingstock. While Bronson is free, his friend gets him involved in underground fighting. This friend first appears in red, when everything seems exciting and new. Later in the film, the same friend is shown in blue, as Bronson's future as a fighter starts to look a little less glamorous. Let's imagine that the director chose blue to represent the cold, solitary confinement cell and every decision that leads to Bronson's failure. When Bronson first makes the decision to steal, he lives on Bluebell Hill Road. Bronson eventually proposes to the woman in red who he first met in the Red Room. Only she's not the woman in red when she turns down his proposal. She's the woman in blue. In fact, it was stealing the engagement ring from the jewelry shop decorated in blue velvet that landed Bronson back in prison. Once back on the inside, Bronson is seen in a blue prison uniform, consumed by a reminder of his failures. A subtle but constant reminder of the prison rules can be seen posted on blue signs. My favorite thing about the clever use of color in Bronson is you can actually pinpoint moments where red and blue are battling for visual dominance, just as their corresponding emotions fight to overtake the principal character. When Bronson was a kid, he wore a blue and red flannel. His options were still open, but he was filled with inner conflict. Later, Bronson is seen as an adult wearing a similar flannel and blue jeans. This is when he decides to attack the officers for the very first time. If Bronson is the protagonist, the governor is the antagonist. The governor's red tie probably taunts Bronson almost as an invitation to reenact the failed strangulation attempt he made against another prisoner in the asylum. When Bronson was a baby, the carpet in his room was red, but his mother changes it to blue while he's away in prison. The battle of red and blue occurs most notably while Bronson is fighting in the underground tournament. This effectively reflects the battle that Bronson must have been having with himself in order to fit in with society as a free man. Bronson doesn't have many friends on the inside, but he almost finds a companion in the art teacher. The art teacher encourages Bronson to focus on his artistic endeavors, and at one point even says that the creative value of his paintings could motivate the governor to release him. Bronson's actions at this point in the story are absolutely crucial in determining how the rest of his life will play out. His miscellaneous red and blue art supplies are shown chaotically scattered about, just like his emotions. During this important scene, the art teacher stands out in a purple sweater. There is little to no purple featured in the film up until this point, and we all know it's a color created by mixing red and blue. If red represents something like hope, and blue represents failure, purple probably represents Bronson's feelings of uncertainty toward his art teacher. Bronson isn't sure if he wants to leave prison at all, but the art teacher is the only person who has shown an interest in helping him get out of there. Bronson has to choose, blue or red, just as he has to choose his own fate. When tension's at its highest, Bronson covers his art teacher in a blue velvet blanket. The scene culminates with Bronson holding the art teacher hostage for 44 hours, a failure that earns him a life sentence. It's not weird or uncommon for audiences to associate meaning with various colors, and Hollywood has been capitalizing on the psychological connection for years. This does not mean, as filmmakers, we can't set aside the standardized methods and assign our own meaning to color through the actions of our characters and the way the story unfolds. In assigning meaning to these prominently featured colors, Nicolas Winding Refn was able to establish a direct path to our subconscious, and because the colors were used so effectively and so consistently throughout the film, it's really difficult not to feel the impact by the time that the red credits roll. I'd love to keep this discussion going and hear all of your thoughts on how color can most effectively be used in film. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and subscribe. I'll do my best to make another one as soon as I see a film that inspires me to do so. I would love recommendations. Please send them my way.